What's going on, everyone? GoodMicWork commentaries back at you. Happy WrestleMania 35 week to one and all. As was the case last year for WrestleMania 34, I came up here every single day of the week during WrestleMania week with a new video. I had a really good time doing that, so I decided to repeat the process this year for WrestleMania 35. And just like last year, we are starting off the week with an opinion video. Although this opinion video is also meant to educate some of the wrestling audience out there that might not understand how absolutely amazing the company of the WWE is, and I'm here to present to all of you my top 10 reasons why WWE is the absolute greatest. They are better than every single other wrestling promotion out there. They do everything better. When you look at crappy-ass promotions like New Japan, Ring of Honor, and this ridiculous upstart AEW, which we know isn't going to amount to anything. I think they have a pay-per-view or a show coming up in a bingo hall in Las Vegas somewhere in May sometime. I mean, I don't know how many tickets they sold for that, 40, 45, something like that. So all of these other companies, these wannabe companies out there, they wish they knew pro wrestling the way WWE knows pro wrestling. So I thought it would be fun to compile a list of all of the things that make WWE so great. And since we are on the heels of WrestleMania, WWE's biggest show, we might as well celebrate how absolutely wonderful this company is. So you guys sit back and relax and enjoy the first of many videos that you are going to get on my channel this week. Let's start off our countdown of the greatest things about WWE with number 10, and that is 3-hour Monday Night Raws. What a brilliant idea. Finally, WWE came to their senses, I believe, on Raw 1000 way back in 2012 and said to themselves, why do we have only 2 hours of Raw every week? So they went to the USA Network and got them to agree to give them an additional hour. Now, my only complaint about the 3-hour Raws is that they're not long enough. If it was up to me, it would be 6 hours. I mean, who wants a 2-hour Raw? That would be stupid. That's why the Attitude Era sucked so bad. Do you want to go back to that? So I think even though WWE has made some progress in making Raws longer, they could do a lot better than just getting USA Network to agree to 1 extra hour. Get them to agree to 3 extra hours, 4 extra hours every single week. During my Monday Night Raw streams, when the show goes off the air, half of my audience is depressed. I have to stay up here after the live stream just so we can all talk to each other and console each other because we want more. And it's really hard to be patient a whole nother 7 days for 3 more hours of Monday Night Raw, when I think WWE now is a big enough company to where they could negotiate 5, 6, 7 hour Raws without a problem. USA would totally do it. So WWE still has some work to improve on the length of Monday Night Raws, but 3 hours is a good start, and hopefully one day this will eventually evolve into where we're having 21, 22-hour Monday Night Raws. And can you imagine how great that is going to be for live streams and all the great segments, you know, and all of the well-written content that we're going to experience in a 22-hour Raw? Oh my God, I can't wait. I hope that it happens in my lifetime. Number 9, the writers, the creative team in WWE. I have to give Vince McMahon and the entire WWE a lot of credit in sparing no expense on hiring the greatest, most creative minds on this planet. And you take all of these writers, these great minds, and you put them together in one room, and you just get one brilliant idea after another. Finally, someone has come around and come up with the idea of 50-50 booking. These people know how to get wrestlers over, and 50-50 booking is the exact way to do it. You know, all these dumbass promoters, you know, back in the day, Vince Sr., Eddie Graham, Stu Hart, Vern Gagne, Bill Watts. I mean, these guys were fucking morons. Now you've got writers in charge of determining storylines and matches, and you see the quality improve. It is so much better now than it used to be in the 70s and 80s when wrestling seemed so fake. And now it seems real, and we have the writers to thank for that. For example, when they're trying to create title shots or have champions develop new contenders, one of the best ways to make that happen is to pin your champions on TV. When you go out there, when you send an Intercontinental Champion, a U.S. Champion, Universal or World title holder out there on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live and you beat them, you are setting up for a huge monster payday down the road. When it comes to awarding title shots to other talent, that is the best way to do it. The more champions pinned every week, the better. That's how you get your storylines over. That's how you develop the legacy of these championship belts and make them mean more. When you have those champions lose all the time, it just increases the enormous credibility of all these championships. And that's why these writers need to really be commended for all the fantastic work that they do. One of the best ideas WWE has ever had is to script promos. Because why would you want a talent to go out there and just improvise? You know, the writers know the talent better than the talent knows themselves. So it's probably best for everyone that you allow these writers to decide how a particular wrestler is going to say something because they know that wrestler better than anyone else. So let's hope and pray that this philosophy continues in WWE and they continue to hire more brilliant writers with each passing year, because you know how the old saying goes, the more cooks in the kitchen, the better. The number 8 reason why WWE is the greatest is because of the great talent of the future that they currently have on their roster. Oh my God. You look at all these shitty-ass companies out there and all this crappy talent, and you compare it to the meat and potatoes of WWE's core talent roster. The Baron Corbins, the Nia Jaxes, Jinder Mahals, Tamina, Mojo Rawley, No Way Jose. These are the stars of the future. These are the men and women who are going to main event WrestleMania for years to come. Gone are the days of talentless bums like Kofi Kingston, Becky Lynch, Mustafa Ali, AJ Styles, being constantly crammed down our throats. And I think WWE should also be commended for holding back the wrestlers in the past who had shitty attitudes and very poor connections with the audience. Guys like Damian Sandow, Rusev, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Zack Ryder. Guys like that just couldn't get over. No matter how hard they tried, the fans didn't give a shit about them at all. So WWE did the right thing. They put the brakes on their push because you don't want to just insist that the fans accept these guys when they clearly don't. Look at the miserable failure that has become NXT. Triple H's dumbass idea of creating kind of a developmental system like their own little independent promotion. He thought that was going to be so cool and so hip. No, you get one stupid fucking takeover after another. Dumb main events, boring matches, shitty storylines. The fans are out there with their thumbs up their asses. They don't even care about the show. They don't say anything. It's not like on WWE shows where every time a match happens, the fans are chanting WWE, WWE, WWE. No, down in NXT, the fans are sitting there like a bunch of fucking morons, like a bunch of mutes. And that's probably because you give them shitty matches, like Tommaso Ciampa against Johnny Gargano. Who the fuck wants to see that? Give me Jinder Mahal and Baron Corbin against the Ascension any day of the week over Gargano and Ciampa. The number 7 reason why WWE is the absolute fucking greatest is because of Michael Cole, the voice of WWE. This guy makes wrestling worth watching. As an older fan, let me tell you fans something. Be glad that you weren't alive during the era of Gordon Solie, or Jim Ross, or Bobby the Brain Heenan, or Gorilla Monsoon, or all of these horrible commentators that have come down the pike year after passing year when really only one voice stands above them all. Michael Cole does an absolute brilliant job of telling the story on Monday Night Raw and on WWE in general. He's been a mainstay there for 20 years. He had to sit there for the first few years of his career and watch idiots like Jim Ross call WrestleMania matches when the guy had absolutely no idea what he was doing. I don't even know how Jim Ross got into wrestling. I think he was a janitor in a high school gym, and there was like a wrestling match there one night, and he's just been cleaning toilets for wrestling promotions ever since. Somehow got a job in WWE. I guess they felt bad for him and allowed him to be an announcer, kind of like a Make-A-Wish type of thing. And he went on just to bore the audience to death with his fucking gibberish and his yelling and screaming and his over-promotion and his buzzwords. What the fans needed was a traditionalist. What the fans needed was someone who can add that old school flavor to a very, very modern product that is now all about sports entertainment, which I'll get to that in a minute, and what a brilliant idea it was to change what wrestling is into sports entertainment. But Michael Cole offers you that link to the past that guys like Gordon Solie and Jim Ross were never able to give us. Unfortunately, however, Michael Cole is only one man. He is a human being, and he can't call all of the shows. He can't call every match in WWE, because if it was up to me, I would send Mauro Ranallo packing. That guy is the worst fucking announcer I've ever heard. WWE needs to fire him tomorrow. Same thing with Nigel McGuinness. Get both of those idiots the hell out of that company and put Michael Cole in their place and let him call NXT and NXT UK and pretty much anything that has to do with wrestling. You need to have Michael Cole calling these matches. It's too bad All Elite Wrestling can't afford a guy like Michael Cole. We already know their product is going to suck, but at least it would have a chance to survive if they had somebody like Michael Cole. You know, and the guy is pure eye candy. You know, when I'm watching Monday Night Raw and they cut to the announcers, you know, I'm not going to lie. When I'm doing my live streams on Monday, my pants are off. They are. I mean, he is an absolutely gorgeous human being and just a spectacular tan. And he's exactly what WWE needs as their face of the company and the guy that tells the stories that you see on television. Number 6, WWE's progressive deal with Saudi Arabia. My God, what a brilliant move for WWE's company image to broker this deal with Saudi Arabia to provide them with a couple of shows a year as a way to show everybody back here in America how progressive the WWE can be. Everybody knows you don't really need women, you know, as good as the women's division is. You know, I think we can all agree we could do without it. At least when they go to Saudi Arabia, they don't have to worry about that. And they're pretty much going over there for free. It's not like Saudi Arabia is paying them. WWE just wants to go there out of the goodness of their heart. If I remember reading the news stories right about this deal, I believe the Saudi Crown Prince actually offered WWE a substantial amount of money. One that ranged in the hundreds of millions, potentially billions of dollars, and WWE apparently turned it down. They said, no, keep it. We don't want it. It's our pleasure to come over there and entertain you. And it's been one of the most heartwarming things WWE has ever done. And I hope the deal with Saudi Arabia lasts forever. As a matter of fact, I hope they put a WrestleMania there one day. Maybe WrestleMania 40 or WrestleMania 50 can be over in Saudi Arabia. All men on the card, of course, because why would you want women? But yeah, I think that's an amazing deal, and it's just done wonders for WWE and their image, especially amongst the mainstream audience. Number 5, a true unsung hero of WWE, if there ever was one, an absolute legend, none other than Kevin Dunn. Kevin Dunn, of course, is WWE's executive producer, and I believe he even serves on the board of directors, and thank God he does, because without his influence, WWE could potentially have already gone out of business. That's how bad things could have gotten if Kevin Dunn were to ever leave. He has had some of the best ideas in all of professional wrestling. He's been miles ahead of the curve, coming up with shit that no other wrestling promotion has ever dreamed of. Great ideas like, for example, the shaky cameras that you see on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live now. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is how you produce television. Who wants to see a steady camera? Whenever you saw that back in the 80s and the 90s, it made wrestling look so fake. So now, when you have these shaky cameras, which I don't know about you, but I find it relaxing. I find it extremely soothing. Whenever those cameras are shaking, I can just kick back, have a cucumber water, and just chill out because it's just so incredibly soothing. Even my skin tingles because it feels so good. So Kevin Dunn knew how to push those buttons in audience members. He knew what to do visually on camera to make us really invest in what we're watching. And it's too bad that Kevin Dunn can't be an announcer. I wish this guy could be on TV. I don't know if a more devastatingly handsome man exists anywhere in the world. Kevin Dunn is an absolute James Bond. He makes Sean Connery look like Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf. This guy emits sexuality. He emits electricity. The Rock stole all of Kevin Dunn's workout routines. Did you know that? The reason The Rock is in such good shape is because he begged Kevin Dunn to reveal his workout secrets to him. There may have even been some money exchanged. I don't know. I mean, The Rock may have actually paid Kevin Dunn to teach him how to work out. I mean, have you ever seen the guy eat food? When Kevin Dunn is sitting down, he's just so damn sexy. And if you watch him eat pasta, I had the very fortunate experience to run into Kevin Dunn in an Italian restaurant. And I sat at a table, you know, a few feet away, and I watched him eat. And the way he would slurp his spaghetti pasta into his beautiful, kissable mouth was so sexy, I couldn't even pay attention to my girlfriend. I was just staring at Kevin Dunn the whole time. The way it went right between his teeth, oh my God. So if you have time, find him on Twitter, find his email, send him a letter thanking him for all his great contributions to the wrestling business. I hope one day he gets a Lifetime Achievement Award at the WWE Hall of Fame. I hope he gets a statue erected to him at WWE's headquarters because he deserves it. He's that good. He's that important. God bless Kevin Dunn. The fourth reason why WWE is the greatest is because of their transition from wrestling into sports entertainment. Something that has been long overdue, and I'm sure you guys can relate when you were watching wrestling as a kid or growing up with pro wrestling. Didn't the words pro wrestling just seem really hard to get out of your mouth? Like, it just didn't sound right. It didn't have a nice ring to it. It seemed incredibly outdated, and it just doesn't have that roll off the tongue sound like sports entertainment does. So when WWE finally stood up and made it known to everyone that, hey, we are not watching pro wrestling, we are watching sports entertainment, I think it gave the fans a really big sigh of relief. Like, finally, somebody's coming forward and calling this stuff what it actually is. Enough with this pro wrestling nonsense. Now it's sports entertainment. And for those pro wrestling fans that have trouble evolving with the times and they want to cling to the past, that's why Michael Cole is there. He's the guy that gives you that link to pro wrestling's past. And if you want to relive some of the feelings you had as a kid, those are the emotions that Michael Cole brings out in you. So WWE was very smart the way they did this transition as to avoid alienating as many wrestling fans as possible. So when the transition into sports entertainment came around, Michael Cole was there to bridge the gap, and it worked out perfectly. It was seamless. Nobody even really noticed the difference. Now, when I see guys like Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan carrying around title belts, I know that they are champions of a sports entertainment company, not a wrestling company, and that's the way it should have always been. Number 3, the evolution of the women's division. Now, I know that I said earlier that some fans really don't care that the women's division is even around, but we can't do anything about it. The United States of America is very behind in the times. We are still allowing our women to wrestle. We have no choice. We have to watch women's wrestling. So if we are going to have to watch it, at least WWE should try to make it as good as possible. And I think we have 3 main people to thank for the evolution of the women's division. The first 2 are very obvious. The Bella twins, Nikki and Brie. Without them, there would be no women's division. You have all of this talent currently on the roster that are okay wrestlers. None of them are great. You know, Becky and Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley and Asuka and Rhea Ripley and, you know, all sorts of different NXT talents. They're all good. I guess they're okay, per se. I wouldn't really call them wrestlers, but they're doing a pretty good job. The reason that they're any good at all is because of what they learned from Nikki and Brie. Many fans across the world have referred to Brie Bella as the female Eddie Guerrero. Many fans across the world have referred to Nikki Bella as the female Bret Hart. So if you are at all entertained by the women's division that you see on TV currently right now in WWE, you need to thank the Bella twins for that, because without them paving the way, there would be no Becky and there would be no Charlotte. And of course, the main person responsible for the evolution of the women's division, of course, is Stephanie McMahon. Without her leading the way and guiding this women's revolution, there would be no women's division at all. You know, the Bella twins might have been there to really provide the work in the ring, but Stephanie did the legwork behind the scenes. And with Stephanie and the Bellas together, growing this women's division out of nothing is truly remarkable. As a lifelong wrestling fan, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart to Stephanie and the Bellas, thank you. Thank you so much for changing this business. Thank you so much for changing this industry. We are truly not worthy of being in your presence. I don't even think I could handle it. If I met Stephanie McMahon in person, I'd probably just tremble and shake and fall to the ground and have a seizure. I have one song only in my entire iTunes music library, and it's Stephanie McMahon's theme song. I listen to it every single day in the car driving to work. I listen to it in the shower. I listen to it when I cook. I listen to it when I fuck. I listen to it when I shit. I listen to it all the time. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say this because I'm not that good at it, but whenever I hear her song, I have to dance. You know, whether I'm completely clothed, whether I'm completely naked, if I'm in a public place or a private place, if I hear Stephanie's theme, I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Number 2, the wrestling philosophy of WWE's chairman and owner, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Thank God for this guy, because despite the fact he is in his 70s, he has the mind of a 29-year-old Harvard student. He is so sharp, and he knows exactly what the audience wants. He constantly has to tiptoe around all of these people around him with these outdated ideas, and he has to guide them into the future, because that's the mind that Vince McMahon has. He understands that fans want to see Roman Reigns. They are so fucking sick of AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre and guys like that. The fans want Roman. They call for him every night. They scream his name. Whenever he comes out to the ring, when his music hits, do you hear the fans? They're all going, ooh, ah, you know, that thing that he does before the spear? They are literally yelling that all throughout his entrance, during most of his promos, and during all of his matches. And Vince knew. He had the foresight to realize what was happening. He knew that if he put Roman Reigns out there in the main event of 4 straight WrestleManias, the fans were going to explode with excitement. It was going to make the show so great, and it was going to make the show so much more worth watching when you have an audience that is so emotionally invested in the match. On the edge of their seat, watching every Roman match, hanging on every word during his promos, and without Vince McMahon there as the voice of reason, behind the scenes, insisting that Roman Reigns is pushed no matter what, we wouldn't get the brilliance that is a Roman Reigns match. And we wouldn't get all of these excited fans. Every time Roman Reigns wins a match, you go on Twitter and everybody's like, this is the greatest day ever. Every big YouTuber, every podcaster, everybody has the same Roman Reigns banner on their Twitter profile. Most of them have Roman Reigns' face as their avatar. Most of the channels out there are primarily dedicated to the greatness of Roman Reigns and how he is the absolute right guy to be on top, because that's who the fans want. And Vince McMahon understands that more than anybody else. Vince knows how to get a guy over. Vince knows the audience, because we're all dumb, guys. We're just a bunch of dumb, naive morons. But luckily, they're people greater than us. There are people out there who are smarter than us that can guide us in the right direction. And Vince McMahon knows the mind of the wrestling audience. This guy's very up to date on all the latest trends. He knows all the TV shows. He watches a ton of other wrestling promotions. He watches TNA. He watches Ring of Honor. He watches New Japan. As a matter of fact, he's told WWE officials never to disturb him during Wrestle Kingdom once a year. He turns his phone off. And he sits in his house by himself with the doors locked, and he watches that pay-per-view straight through, uninterrupted and undisturbed, because he wants to know what the other promotions are doing. He wants to be able to watch what they're doing and see their mistakes and learn from them. And nobody has the dedication that Vince McMahon does. I mean, a lot of people behind the scenes apparently get annoyed with all of Vince's wrestling knowledge. He's always bragging about all the New Japan footage that he watched on New Japan World. You know, he's watching independent wrestling left and right, flying out here to California to go to PWG shows. Apparently, he was a huge ECW mark back in the day. Back in ECW's heyday, Vince McMahon would go to the ECW arena in disguise just so he could be there in the audience and feel that emotion of that crowd. And he took all of this experience from watching and learning about wrestling, and he focused it on his own product and created what is really all around the best possible presentation of a sports entertainment show that you can have. Vince McMahon is just there to guide the ship and to make sure guys like John Cena and Roman Reigns are not held back and are pushed to the absolute top, because they are the best in the company. They have the most talent. They are the best wrestlers. They are the best at promos. They are the most over with the audience. The crowd loves those guys, and Vince McMahon has been there to make sure that they get their opportunities, because without him, who knows, John Cena and Roman Reigns may have never won world titles. Then what would have happened to wrestling? I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't be a wrestling fan today had it not been for John Cena and Roman Reigns. I'd probably be watching golf or some shit. So Vince McMahon, we all owe him a lot, and he's the one that really holds the threads together, and it's his overall philosophy that helped makes the WWE what it is today. And finally, the number one reason why WWE is the absolute greatest is because of real wrestling fans. These are the people that make WWE programming so enjoyable. These are the people that are my mentors. These are my gurus. These are the people that I turn to as a naive fan. Because I don't know anything. I'm a dumbass. I've only been watching wrestling since 1979. That's practically no time at all. That's like yesterday. So somebody out there in the wrestling world has to be a teacher for me, so I don't come on YouTube and embarrass myself. So I learned so much from the real wrestling fans that inform me when guys like Roman Reigns fake their leukemia. I would have never known that. Little naive Greg Morgan didn't see that that's what WWE was doing. I didn't notice that that was just a brilliant storyline idea. I just thought it was a nice feel-good moment. I didn't know that WWE created that emotion, and they did it so perfectly. It was flawlessly executed. Without these fans, I would have never known that Japanese wrestling exists. And I don't know if I can really call myself a real wrestling fan yet. I do watch Japanese wrestling. I'm a subscriber to New Japan World, but I don't think I watch enough of it to consider myself a real wrestling fan. So hopefully one day I will achieve that status. But in the meantime, I can just continue to learn from these great fans who, after a WWE pay-per-view, go on Twitter and say the most kind-hearted, warmest things about the talent, about WWE's creative process, about WWE's ownership and leadership and wrestlers and storyline directions, and just constantly heaping praise upon the WWE for the great job that they do. And it's what makes the internet wrestling community so tolerable, is that nobody gets upset. Nobody loses their mind. Nobody freaks out. You know, when a wrestler loses any match, no matter where it is or how it is, we understand that that's a burial. The fans know that. And I guess I just wasn't aware. So finally, when I understood what the word burial means, I started being able to use it more confidently. I'm like, okay, I get it now. A burial means if you lose a match. Okay, all this time I thought it was something else. But the fans were the ones to teach me this. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for helping to mold me into the type of fan that will have the knowledge that you have one day. I hope I get there. You know, what I need to do is just make as many friends with like 17 and 18-year-old people as possible. That way I can learn from their wrestling expertise, because they know better than anybody. They've been watching wrestling since 2005. You talk about experience. Wow. That's the wrestling fan whose brain I want to pick, because I want to know what they know. I want to have the knowledge that they have. Forget about me having my first flashbulb wrestling memory of Dusty Rhodes versus superstar Billy Graham. Forget about me meeting Andre the Giant when I was 5 years old. Forget about me attending WrestleMania 3. The only thing that those experiences did for me was make me a dumber wrestling fan. But luckily, I have real wrestling fans that can educate me on what's really going on. And that's why you need this extremely intelligent fan base to rise up and let everybody know the way things ought to be done. And those wrestling fans are every bit as big of a part of WWE's success as all of the previous 9 examples that I laid out here. But it's the wrestling fans that are really at the center here, because they're so mature and they're so well adjusted and they're never angry and they're in touch with their emotions and they know how to express themselves in a mature way. And that's what makes wrestling so great. So hopefully you agreed with my list of why WWE is the greatest. So I thank you for hanging out with me tonight and discussing these things. And I want to invite you back to the channel tomorrow for another WrestleMania week video. So you guys take care. Be good. I will talk to you very soon. Make America great again. Peace.